Manager told me to call the person of the computer. I was working on SOI did. Crosspost from tech support. I was sitting in my office one slow day, and the CEO walked in, always a pucker moment. Even though I'm on very good terms with him, and he handed me an obviously non-business laptop and asked if I could get it back up and running, as it had very important thing on it that was needed shortly, and as I wasn't doing anything. And he still signed my paycheck. I said, "You got it, sir." Later a middle mangler comes in and asks me to do something. And I say, "You're number 2 in line," and pointed to the obviously not corporate laptop I was fixing. Mangler didn't like that much and demanded I call whoever and tell them that it wasn't acceptable for me to be working on personal equipment. So I pulled out my cell and called. Mangler could only hear my half of the convo, but what he heard was something like, "Hey Tom, I got Bob here telling me isn't acceptable for me to be working on your personal stuff, and he wanted me to call you and tell you." "Oh sure, he's right here, hang on." And I handed the phone to the mangler. Mangler started off saying, "It's not acceptable." And then his eyes got real big, and the rest of the conversation was yes sir and no sir. He hung up and thundered, "Why didn't you tell me? It was CEO's laptop." And I said, "You didn't give me a chance," and demanded I call them right now. So what you guys think and advise for OP situation? And what would you do if you're on his or her place? What's your opinion nor advice for him or her? Let me know on the comment. Now here's are the top 3 comments from our community, and what are their own opinion for OP. From Reddit admin Aramons, "It's fine to question IT. Don't act like they're in the wrong before you hear the answer, though, or you'll end up on the very long queue for something that typically takes less than 10 minutes to clear up." And next is from Vandilb. "My wife once refused to turn on the CEO's cell phone account at a cell company till he paid his bill, which made him pretty pissed off, and he went over her head to get it turned back on with a negative balance and a 90 days overdue, but then later had to come back and give her a compliment, because that's how he wanted regular people to be treated, and he hadn't identified himself." And lastly from Tzenrik, "I remember a conversation like that. It was my first sergeant trying to yell at me for fixing the battalion commander's personal laptop. My instructions were coffee, bathroom, please fix my laptop. Give me a call when you have news." First sergeant came to me to fix a phone over at the supply office, and I told him I'll get on it as soon as I'm done with this, first sergeant. Then he did that lean in and start yelling thing that first sergeants do. "You're gonna get off your ass and get to it right motherfucking now." This happened while the commander was walking down the hall to the coffee maker. He popped in behind the first sergeant, and I spoke up, "Good morning, sir." Commander says, "What's happening here?" First sergeant starts replying, "This insubordinate little shit thinks he can work on his personal." And the commander interrupted, "It's mine." First sergeant turned purple, faced me, and spat out, "Carry on." Commander replied, "No, you carry on. I'll let you know when he's available." I saved all of his family photos from the failing hard drive. The commander never called the first sergeant, and the first sergeant didn't speak to me for 18 months. And here's our next story. "Don't threaten me with a good time. A lot of lawyers are making the news with their bad decisions." Which reminded me of a story I hope you enjoy. I had an appearance for a pre-trial hearing in a small town court. This hearing went okay for my client. The other attorney opposing counsel, or OC, did not react strongly positively or negatively, which made sense, because the decision was basically a 60-40th split of what we were disputing. Neither of us was a big winner or loser. His demeanor changed drastically after the judge dismissed us. In the hallway he stomped up to me while I was discussing next steps with my client and said we needed to talk. I said something along the lines of, "As soon as I'm done with client, I huffed off." And I finished my talk. To set the stage for this next part, I am almost exactly average for height and weight. Ak was probably 4-ish inches taller, 60-ish lbs heavier, and 30-ish years my senior. Imagine a big belly, drinker's nose, and some flop sweat if he saw the elevator was out of service. So I say goodbye to client and walked over. Without any small talk, he gave me something close to "you think you can just walk in here and act like that." This was confusing because nothing really went great or terrible for me or him, so I said something like "act like what?" This really set him off. And I pinky swear I was not trying to antagonize him with that question. OC then says, verbatim, "You better hope I never see you outside this court, because I will kick the shit out of you." What he did not know was that I really enjoy fighting. After seeing the Power Rangers punch those clay soldiers, I begged my parents for karate classes. After that was judo in HS, BJJ in college, and an attempt to fight in the UFC after college. I thought I was tough right up until actual professionals hit me. Then wow, I'm actually a huge pussy, and went for a graduate degree. So I told OC sounds good. We need to sign some forms first though. Here's my availability. Let's find a time and meet at this gym. Do you want boxing or grappling gloves? I thought for sure he would make up an excuse, but he agreed. So we set up a time and everything. The small town court gossip mill did its thing. And a couple of court staff showed up to watch the fight in an anticlimactic turn of events. OC was a no-call, no-show. The next time OC and I appeared before the judge, who did not show up to watch the fight. The judge made a snarky comment like, "Is this really worth fighting over?" And OC didn't have anything to say to that. So what you guys think and advise for OP's situation? And what would you do if you're on her place? What's your opinion or advice for her? Let me know on the comment. Now here's are the top 3 comments from our community. And what are their own opinion for OP? From Fat Bloke 4. The sarcasm from the judge was the icing on the cake. From Stecky 2. Disappointed you didn't show up in court with a huge golden belt adorned with a gem-embossed buckle. Other than that, great way to handle the situation. And lastly from Lap Steel Guitar, I have lawyers in my family. This made me laugh.